Welcome to today's episode. I am so excited to introduce you to Dr. Kimberly Spair of Reclaimers of Health. And I am just really inspired by everything that you're doing in the world and sharing about your healing journey. I'm so excited to introduce people to your work and to share your journey of healing. So thank you so much, Kimberly, for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm inspired by what you're doing and I'm so happy to be here.
So you're a speech pathologist. So you started off with that when you qualified, and you've since then gotten into holistic health. So can you tell us about the whole experience where you were diagnosed with Lyme disease and Hashimoto's?
Yeah, so over a period of years, I started having neurological symptoms. It actually happened quickly in the beginning where we were hiking in the woods one day and the next morning I woke up with neurological symptoms. Several years of seeing the best neurologists and the best conventional doctors, and then alternative doctors and practitioners and intravenous and therapies and all of these things. And finally got a diagnosis of neurological Lyme and autoimmune thyroid disease. And moving forward, the symptoms continued to get worse until I finally found a path to healing in the work of Anthony William. And if you want to hear my whole story, I just put up a docu-series. It is on getthehealmethod.com. It's also on Pureflix Entertainment, where I share the whole story. But basically, I came down with neurological symptoms. Nobody could really help me. I tried everything from medications to therapies to, like I said, intravenous supplements, all of these different things. It wasn't for lack of trying, but things just kept getting worse. My labs were getting worse. My immune system counts were getting worse. I was at one point, they told me not to go into grocery stores, to be very careful. I had to walk away from my job because I was working at the time with critically ill patients myself, patients with pneumonias and things like that. So I was dealing hands-on with patients that weren't well, and I wasn't well myself. So that's the beginning of my story, and that's kind of where it all began.
Yeah. And Hashimoto's, that's a very hard diagnosis to receive, because I know it feels like, oh my God, is this a lifelong condition? Like, what was that like for you?
Absolutely. Every doctor that I saw said, you're going to go on this medication. You're going to be on it for the rest of your life. We'll just kind of see where things go. Even the functional doctors, the alternative doctors all agreed that I had to be on something. Maybe it could be something a little more natural or compounded, or what. I tried all these different things.
Yeah.
But that I would have to be on this pill for the rest of my life. And that was 6.5 years ago. So I love to just share that with people. And I love to spread hope and tell people that it's possible. Just because you're on this medication does not mean that you have to be on it for the rest of your life. I always encourage people to do that with their medical doctors, and I'm not telling people to just, throw their medications out the window, but work and get your body to that point to where, you're functioning again, your labs are normal again, things are changing in your body. I was told that I would always be on that medication, and that in order to have my second daughter, I would need medications. And I was kind of cautioned around it not to do it, and all of these different things. I had her 3.5 years ago. I didn't birth her in a hospital. She was a home birth. It was a beautiful, natural experience. No medications, no drugs, none of that. And in a couple of weeks, I'm going to have another little girl.
Oh, another girl. Oh, that's wonderful.
Another girl.
That's incredible.
I'm giant behind this desk.
Yeah, it's hiding beautifully.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. And that's such a quantum leap, because I know for a lot of women that do get a thyroid diagnosis and they have, they're on medication and they're requiring that, that's a huge concern around, oh, you need to be on it for pregnancy and you need to have your levels, a certain point for, to maintain a healthy pregnancy.
And women always ask me, do you get them checked and all of that? I see a midwife, so she's very holistic. I do get them checked, though. I was checked in the beginning of my pregnancy. I was checked again in the middle of my pregnancy. Everything has been A-okay. Thank you, God. But I believe in this work because I've seen hundreds, if not thousands by now, of women do the same thing. A lot of women in my practice are women that are dealing with thyroid, endocrine issues, all of these various different things. Women in their 40s that were told their entire life that they would never have babies, they would never get pregnant, and they're bringing in this information and they're having babies. They're healing, they're getting better, they're getting off medications. And we have to be really careful what we say these days, because, we're in this place of, health freedom it's getting axed at every moment and every chance every which way we turn. but it's up to us to share our stories and to speak out and to tell the truth, and to tell people that, just because you're put in this box of chronic illness or autoimmune disease. I remember the first time I read that in Anthony's book, your body is not attacking itself.
Yeah.
And I said, whoa, life-changing statement.
Yeah.
And fast forward to last summer when I interviewed him and he shared that. And I said to him, that statement changed my life. I was basically in this place of feeling like my own body was betraying me. My own body was creating this dis-ease. And I always wondered, like, how did that change from one moment to the next? You go from healthy to unhealthy. And how do you go back? The doctors tell you, you can't go back. You're never going to be healthy. You're never going to, you're not going to have normal labs. You're always going to be on meds, but it's simply not true.
Yeah, it's incredible. So yeah, it really has changed your life, the work of Anthony William, and just how it has, I suppose, it came into you at a very critical time. Was that just through synchronicity? I know you were saying that it was like you're at your kind of lowest ebb when you found it.
Yeah, so I had tried all the different things. Back before I had my son, which was 6.5 years ago, I got myself to a pretty stable place. I would never say I was, better or recovered or in remission or any of these words that people use. But I got to a place where I looked at my husband and I said, this is it. Like, we're getting too old. So we're either going to try this and see what happens, or we're never going to be parents. And it's been a dream of mine for my entire life to be a mother.
Yeah.
So we did it, and my pregnancy was really good. Like, everything kind of, I had morning sickness and like all those things that now I don't even, it's not even part of my mind, because I just have felt so good my last 2 pregnancies. But I had the normal, like, fatigue and nausea and like all of those things. But it was after I had my son, all hell broke loose. And I got to a point where I wrote a will one day and I got down on my knees, and I really did not think I would be there for my newborn son. And the next morning, Anthony's work just appeared on my screen. It was really a God-given gift to me. And I ordered the book and I read my story in the pages, and everyone tells me that I'm not different in any way. Everyone that finds his work, it's by some grace of God, and everyone kind of feels that way when they read that book. Like, oh my goodness, like somebody finally understands what I'm going through. Yes. So that's how I found the work.
So what was it like then to go on and conceive and maintain your pregnancy with your second daughter? What was that like? The way you were saying you felt much different to your first.
Yeah, it was totally different. With my first child, I threw up for 6 months. Like I was just, it wasn't just morning sickness. It was in the middle of the night. It was every time I got in a car, it was horrible. And with my daughter, I just felt really good. I didn't have any of that. I was chasing around my 2-year-old at the time. I was working, I was, doing all of these things, and I just felt really good. And of course, I'm a human. So like in the back of my head, I'm like, oh God, I hope this isn't like too good to be true. Like, is everything going to be okay after I deliver and all of that? And all I did was bring everything in even more. Like after I had her, it was just like more teas and more supplements and just really focusing on my food and making sure that every single thing that went into my body was healing. We have foods that create health and we have foods that destroy health. And it's really that simple. And there's a wide variety of what people can tolerate. We've got people that can tolerate a completely crap diet. They've got low toxins, they've got a low viral load. And then we've got people that have experienced chronic symptoms and illness, and they've got to be more on the side of putting everything life-giving into their body. So there is this like variation of what people can tolerate. I have clients that, eat all different diets. It's not just a plant-based diet. Anthony's information gets put into a box. But I have people that eat paleo. I've got people that eat completely plant-based. I've got clients that are halfway in between. They'll eat meat or animal products once a week or twice a week or whatever it may be. But this information can be applied to a wide variety of diets and different things that are out there. God did not create us all equal. We're all different. So within healing, there's even, a wide variety of different ways and things that people are doing to heal and eat. And this information really can just, be brought into all of that.
I love that. Yeah. Cause it can put people off, as in they think, oh, I couldn't possibly be eating all plant-based. Like it just seems so different to the way, people in general would be eating.
Yeah. And I certainly have a wide variety of that in my practice. I have people that come to me and they want to be completely plant-based because they've seen the science behind it, or they've read the books and they know like, okay, I want to put all life-giving foods in my body. Then I have other people that they may not have symptoms the way that I had symptoms or you had symptoms. They just were somewhere in between. They've got some headaches, they've got a rash, they've got some eczema. And they bring it in slowly, but those people get better too. They do. They bring in the celery juice, or they start to do lower fats in the mornings, and they still maybe have some of this or that, and they do get better. So it really just depends. But I really don't like when it's all in a box, like, oh my gosh, I can't be totally plant-based.
Yeah.
You can still get better by bringing in this information and learning it. I can't promise you that you'll want to continue eating the junk foods, because as your body feels better, you just want to do better.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Yeah, it's really meeting people where they're at, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. Always. Yeah. Always.
So what's your current pregnancy been like?
It's been really busy. That's all I can really say.
Yeah.
And I guess that means that I've been feeling really amazing. I have really good energy. Life is just moving at the speed of light. I have a full-time practice. I was a homeschool mama this year. Wasn't ever by choice that I thought I would be here doing that, but here I am. I have my 3-year-old, and things are just crazy, but I feel really good. Sleeping really good. My energy is good, and I really can't complain. I feel so supported in this pregnancy.
That's amazing. And one of the things I love about what you share is the food hauls that you do.
Oh yeah. So,
oh my gosh, I'm like, you're like my inspiration for what I want to do when I have my children, and you know, the way you were able to do all that, it's so amazing.
So that was a necessity. People see the food hauls, and if you look at Reclaimers of Health on Instagram, you'll see us in the back of the car with these giant cases of celery and apples and cucumbers and all this. When I went through my chronic illness, we actually lost our dream home because I had to walk away from my job and all of these things. And it was this place of like, how in the world are we going to afford all this organic produce? I see it healing my body, but like, this is really expensive. So people see those hauls and they're like, I can never do that. That's so expensive. No, that's what we did to save money. It wasn't to spend, it was to save money. When you see the amount of money that you can save from going to the regular grocery store to buying cases of produce, it is like night and day. And if you can find one other family to split that with you, then you're splitting a case of something. So instead of paying, $4 for a head of celery, you might be paying $1.99, whatever. It changes with the season. People always ask prices, but the prices, they always change. But buying the cases has been a game changer, a lifesaver. And all I can say is that when you stop shopping on the inside of the grocery store, you're not buying all those expensive things. So the price of food does come way down, and then you can afford the produce, based on not changing the amount of money you're putting out is what I'm trying to say.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what kind of ways are you supporting yourself with the healing foods through this pregnancy?
Listening to my body. And this is the biggest thing when it comes to women in my practice. They all come in and everybody wants to be perfect, and they want to be 100% on board, or the opposite, and they want to just go fly off the handle and eat the ice cream and all the junk and all of that. But what I can say, it's about listening to your body, because our bodies hold so much wisdom. Okay. If I am craving salt, if I am craving sweets, okay, those are two things that pregnant women always, no matter who you talk to. If I'm craving salt, I have to look at my adrenals. I have to look at the greens that I'm bringing in. Am I eating enough greens? Am I getting enough mineral salts? If I'm craving sugar, am I eating enough fruit? Am I getting enough juices? Those kind of things. So taking the information that my body is giving to me and weaving it into these healing foods that I know have healed and changed my life, and using them to support the pregnancy. So I have not changed very much, but what I can say, in the beginning of my pregnancy, there were some food aversions. That's normal. I couldn't eat like a big bowl of salad, but I was bringing it in green smoothies. I love green smoothies with mangoes and coconut water. I was eating spinach soups, those kind of things. Second trimester, I did a big story on Instagram because I was like, I can finally eat a salad. But my message for everyone is just to listen to your body, because the wisdom is there. Your body is telling you exactly what it needs. It's not telling you that it needs ice cream or chips. It's telling you that it needs glucose and mineral salts. And when we give the body those things, or find healthy alternatives, maybe you bake some potatoes and slice them, bake them in the oven, using things like dulse and greens, your body, will will pay you back with energy and with vibrancy, and you'll feel good versus eating the junk and then you feel like junk.
Yeah. I think a big thing is for when people are mixing with other people and they are, maybe having a party or, especially in the summer times, people are gathering. How have you navigated, going to those kind of gatherings and actually being able to maintain eating the way you do and still be able to connect and socialize with people?
Yeah, so that's one of the biggest questions that I get. And I think at this point in my journey in my life, I just don't care anymore. And I think that, I hate to say it, we have to come to that point, because if we care what other people think, then it's kind of this road of like, oh, am I going to just put this food in my body just to appease people and then not feel well? Is that really worth it? No, when you're a mom of 2 kids and you have to run around and run a job and all of these other things. So for me, early on in my journey, it was getting comfortable with a cooler. I always bring food to share, so it's not really obvious. Like if you saw me at a party and you didn't know who I was or what I eat, you probably wouldn't notice, because I would just bring something and eat that along with whatever else is there that looks cleanish. I never make a big deal out of it. I just eat what I brought, as well as, anything else that kind of fits in. But we have to come to that place of not caring, because the people that are judging us probably have symptoms too. 9 times out of 10, they have something going on. And that judgment comes from a place of questioning their own, how they do things. Maybe they feel like they should be doing better, so they're judging other people. You know how that whole thing works. So
Yeah.
just coming to a place of not worrying about what other people think, socializing, bringing things to share. Same thing with kids, always let them bring a fun treat. And just not putting all the energy into food. Like there's so many other things, relationships and games and sports and things you could be doing out in the yard, swimming. It's not all about the food, even though like I was a major foodie before I got sick. Like we loved to go and drink the wine and eat the good foods and all of that stuff. But there are healthier ways to do that, and other things are important too. It's not only about food.
That's brilliant. So can you share about the pitfalls of conventional medicine and how food and trusting your innate ability to heal can bring massive transformation to your body and your mind?
Yeah, so I think for some people, if you got in an accident or you broke your foot or whatever it is, we need life-saving medications. We need, life-saving surgeries. We need things, sometimes even during births, women need these things. There can be emergencies. And thank God we have all these hospitals and, medicines and all of those things. But when it comes to chronic symptoms and illness, there's a missing link. A lot of times we are viewed as pieces, like, oh, you have this autoimmune disease. Oh, you have these neurological symptoms. Nobody's looking at the full picture. Why are we having these symptoms? What are we deficient in? Why is the body functioning like that? What happens if we add a little B12? What happens to the nervous system? What happens to those nerves that are inflamed in the body? So I think the pitfalls are really looking at people as a whole. We're not looking at a human as a human. We're looking at it in parts. The endocrinologist, the neurologist, everything is just broken down into pieces, and the body works synergistically. It works together. We can't, people talk about, oh, my liver, oh, my lymphatic system, but they work together. Even the adrenals. People say, why am I having these liver symptoms again? Well, what happened stressful in your life? Because the adrenals and the liver are tied together. You can't separate these things. So I would say that's the major pitfall of just kind of, separating everything out and not looking at the big picture. And then the other piece about gaining that knowledge that our bodies are all healing mechanisms with an innate capacity to heal. It changes everything, because when you believe that you're going to be chronically ill for the rest of your life, you will be chronically ill for the rest of your life. And when you believe when your body is given what it needs to heal, your body will heal. I mean, it's no different than when you cut your finger, you put a Band-Aid on it, your body heals. Okay. So we can't pretend that this is any different. Yes, it's harder when it's deeper into the body or there's something really, going on that's really making us feel off. But our job is to find out what is missing, what virus or toxicity or, what's at play here, and then give the body everything it needs to overcome the obstacle.
I love that. So what are your thoughts on health freedom today?
So health freedom today is, it's on the forefront of my mind. It's really all that I've been thinking about lately. and I have to be honest and I have to be careful. But I'm actually calling on every mother and every woman and every man, really, families. We all need to stand together. This is not about politics or gender or religion or race or socioeconomic background. It comes down to basic human rights to choose the way that we live, the way we eat, the way we heal, the way we take medicines. Those are rights. They're basic human rights. And for someone to tell you it's one size fits all, everyone should eat like this, everyone should follow this diet, everyone should take this medication, it doesn't work like that. We were not made all the same. And what may be wonderful for one person may not work for someone else. Just like that thyroid medication did not work for me. There's people in my family that have been on it for 30 years. It works for them, okay? Medical freedom is all about choice. It has nothing to do with these other things that have been dragged in and really muddied up the water of all these things. It comes down to making your own choices for yourself, for your family. I truly believe if someone wants to take a food or a medication or do things a certain way or wear a mask, they absolutely should do that. That's what resonates with them. And if someone else feels like it's not the right choice, they should have that liberty as well. So medical freedom to me is everything. It truly is everything. Nothing is one size fits all. I don't care if you're talking about a pair of socks, okay? God did not create us all equal. And I truly believe that, if not me, if not you, if not the other mama bears out there and the other families out there, who is going to stand up and fight for this? I truly am calling on everyone to see that and separate this from politics and religion and all these other things that are being thrown in just to segregate and separate. It comes down to one thing, and that's choice.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
So what's your vision with Reclaimers of Health?
So my vision with Reclaimers of Health, it kind of happened by accident, really. It really started as a support system for what I was going through. And a friend of mine at the time, we were going through healing. And it has evolved into this, large platform of women healing, thriving, teaching their kids and their families to do the same thing. I started a course called Empowered Moms in 2017. And that has been a major focus of Reclaimers of Health ever since, because it has involved not just women and mamas, but children. And I just love to see, all of that, feeding our next generation, because I think that that's a huge issue right here and right now too, is that kids are learning that their bodies are broken, their brains are broken, like all of these things. And we're all being called to do it another way. Just like I went back to that piece of like, so many of us were, we ended up homeschooling this year and different things, but I truly believe that women are being called to teach things another way, teach things a better way, show children and other women that our bodies are not broken and there are ways to heal and there are ways to thrive and we don't have to be stuck in these little boxes. So my vision is just to keep doing what I'm doing, to keep educating, to keep sharing my story, to keep encouraging other women to share their stories and their healing stories of themselves and their children and their families. And just to get out there more and, make our voices heard.
Oh, wonderful. So let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Reclaimers of Health, Facebook also at Reclaimers of Health, or my website is reclaimersofhealth.com.
Oh, wonderful. So thank you so much, Kimberly, for all the work that you're doing in this world, and you're inspiring me from across the pond over here in Ireland. So thank you so much. And
thank you so much. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you stand for. Thank you for sharing your healing story and all of that. You're inspiring me too. Thank you.
Oh, thanks a million.